Owning a business is the best personal development program in the world. It forces you to update your thinking on a consistent basis. It helps you see your own strengths and weaknesses and helps you develop vital and useful skill sets. So in this video, I want to share some of the top mindset shifts I think most entrepreneurs need in order to become more successful. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. So I've always said that business is only as good as you as the entrepreneur. So if you want to be successful in business, you first have to fix yourself first. I realized that if I didn't go through some of the struggles that I went through in my business, I wouldn't have been primed for where I believe my business is going. And so I think we all have struggles in our business, in our life, that really prime us for where we are. And some of us aren't willing to really look at ourselves honestly and through an honest lens to be able to say, okay, what is holding me back? Is there fear holding me back? Am I willing to not let go? Am I not getting educated enough? Am I not learning about things that I need to progress in business? So all of these things are super vital to be able to become a great entrepreneur, a successful business, become a good leader, be able to serve our customers better. The more that we can do to become better ourselves, the more we can have successful companies. So let's truly dig into the three personal development areas that we can do to really grow into a successful company. Okay, so the first one is learning to let go. And the version of letting go I'm going to say in this one is trusting others. We as entrepreneurs are unique. We have unique skill sets that are not typical for most people. I would say our ability to see the big vision, to do multiple things at once, to be able to go high level and a lot of times go really deep in execution is typically pretty unique. I would say about 1% to 3% of the population. So when you start to build a team and start to delegate things out, I think a lot of people get shocked. They're like, they're not very smart. Why aren't they doing their job? And they don't realize that most people cannot work with ambiguity. Most people don't think like we do. And that doesn't make it bad. It just means that it's more of an art and more of a puzzle. You got to identify what are the things that I need now in a person that's going to help me with maybe my weaknesses, phase of business that we're in, what are the people that we need. And then that is going to help identify who you need and what it's going to take to actually help make them successful. It doesn't mean that sometimes you make wrong hires, but I would imagine there's a lot of times that people are expecting them to be like you, and so you don't ever let go. So I think it's super critical. If I had to pick all the things that I see entrepreneurs struggle with, it's letting go. And this tip is around trusting others. How can we really be able to empower a team, empower others? And one way I did that, here's a little hack for you if you need some way to rip the Band-Aid off. I have a way of being able to see things really well. It's kind of like air traffic controller. I feel like it's like where I can just spot all the different gaps and what needs to happen. So it would be really easy for me to micromanage. I can move fast, I can move quick, because I see all the details and I can pull them together. Most people aren't like that. So you actually have to be a little more patient to build a team, because you have to let them grow and mold into the position and what their responsibilities and their role is. They're not going to be able to move as fast as you unless you hired all high A players, which is really expensive and not a really great, inexpensive way to grow a team. And it's devaluing the value that those other players bring to the table as well. So what I did just to help you guys is I let the balls drop. And that was so hard for me. What I mean by that was, I was like, to empower my team, I can't focus on all the things that I know they're missing. So I just let them drop. And I was like, if a customer gets unhappy, I have to be okay with that. And I care so much about being perfect and making customers happy, which I've learned is a weakness of mine. So I purposely don't do billing and different things because I have, too much of a soft heart for that kind of stuff. So like, you learn what your weaknesses are and put people around you that do those things. By doing that, it forced my team, who was great, I just wasn't empowering them enough to pick up the balls that I dropped and be able to learn what to do with them and be like, okay, I'm going to go. By them learning it, by them picking them up, it was forcing them to think through it, forcing them to problem solve, forcing them to think of a third way, a new way. And so that is one way to trust others, is really be willing for mistakes to happen. Somebody once told me that you need to be okay with employees being 80% as good as you. And that's okay if you want to look at it that way, because at least 80% it's off your plate and you're not doing it all. When you design it the right way and you have a perfect puzzle with all the different people in the right spots, they will be 1,000% better than you, because you'll realize like, wow, I could do process, but man, when you hire a process person, they're really good at process. Like, there's different skills that you will never be able to match up to because they're specialized in their thing. And as entrepreneurs, we're really good at a lot of things. And so that's really a great way to help us as entrepreneurs be able to let go just a little more. Okay, so the second mindset shift to have as entrepreneurs is, you ready for this? To let go. I know you're like me, you just said that for number one. I know, but this is like the biggest problem entrepreneurs have, is letting go. So letting go, but I'm gonna go from a different angle now of letting go. And that is around it being imperfectly perfect. So you need to let go from the perspective of being imperfectly perfect. And what do I mean by that? Speed is so important in this day and age. It's no longer build it slowly, hope it works, learn from the school of hard knocks, reinvent the wheel. Like, speed wins. The one that can deliver the value to the customer the fastest will win in that market. It's so much more critical to move fast and imperfectly, and know what risks you can take when. A lot of these videos I've been to this book, but The Lean Startup, it's one of the first process books I've ever read that really talked about principles without tactics. Because he's like, I don't want to tell you the tactics because you're gonna think that applies to everybody. You need to understand the principles. And what he was pretty much teaching was a lot of the things that we learn in a startup phase of business need to really apply to all phases of business. Meaning we need to be willing to be agile, to be adaptable, be willing to shift and pivot and move fast and take risks. And in big companies, you can still do it by isolating out into smaller specialized teams to be able to perform that function, or think, hey, we want to go test out this employee experience program with our employees. Let's go do it in an isolated team. Or, hey, we want to go test this new idea for a product or a new growth channel, or, there's ways to test. We just have to get more in that mindset of experimenting. It's going to really change our view of business. I bring this up a lot about Elon Musk, and he was willing to blow up rockets to get data. And how much faster than he moved than NASA. He literally reinvented the way how we get up into space now, and how fast now that we can repurpose rockets. And he did it so much faster than NASA ever could, because he was willing to experiment, because he was willing to blow up rockets. So I challenge you to be willing to blow up rockets in your space too, because you're going to get the data that you need to be able to move fast. So from letting go, perfect is not perfect in the business world. If you think about just in marketing alone, marketing is I always talk about agile marketing versus just creating a whole marketing plan for a year. Create a marketing strategy, test it, see if it works, tweak it again, do it again. But what people end up doing is they either shift their product, they're not willing to shift and pivot the execution of how they're trying to get customers in, or, okay, maybe this channel of growth didn't work, and then find that channel of growth that worked and then go all in that channel until you have a really solid product. And then you can start to add more channels of growth, but really just test till you find the one and then press forward. And I think that persevering is something that a lot of businesses aren't willing to do. If you're not willing to persevere and pivot and test and do all of those things that are required, you're gonna be stagnant, you're gonna be stuck. I'll leave you with one example of this before we go into the third point. A while back, we had a client that talked about demanding perfection, right? And we had sent out an email wrong, I think, to one of his customers, and he was kind of irate about it, right? And the interesting thing is that the other day I sent out an email wrong in our email blast. This is what happens when I do it and my team doesn't do it. And I was like, oops, I guess I have to create an oops email, right? And send it. And that one the oops email had bigger open rates than the original email. And then the way I wrote the oops email is I searched in my email thread for other oops emails. And guess whose emails popped up? Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi. Like, I think they purposely create oops emails because it actually shows you're real, that you're human. People long for authenticity. If you just communicate with them, they'll be understanding. So I'd rather have it be imperfect, get done, get started, and then explain and communicate along the way if you didn't meet the objective that people were wanting. Okay, so again, before we go into the third point, if you want to see other videos like this and want to be able to show other entrepreneurs these videos, I would love it if you liked and subscribed. It'll help the algorithm to show this video to other people. I really just want to get this message out to other entrepreneurs and really be able to solve the problems you're all having. And the more entrepreneurs I can get to join this channel, the more data I can get to be able to make better decisions to really help all of you on a bigger scale so that you don't have to do all of the heavy lifting. I want to help you in that area. So again, if you like and subscribe, that'd be great. So the last mindset shift, again, it's another letting go one. I know you're shocked because if I can just drill this home, it's 3 let goes, but it's letting go around believing in yourself. When you start to realize that you're not that different from other entrepreneurs, I've talked with thousands of entrepreneurs in the last 15 years, and we're all saying the same things. I think if we can start to realize that we're not alone, that there's a lot of people going through our same struggles, I think it'll help us out as entrepreneurs. And the sooner you can believe in yourself, the sooner you can be successful. I know that sounds crazy, but if I had to pick one thing out of all the things that changed the direction of my company, it's the belief in myself. So the sooner you can start to associate with people farther along in the journey than you, the sooner that you'll be like, wow, that isn't that far off. That is attainable. I think we'll realize, like, we look up to these people that think that they're better than us or ahead of us. And yeah, maybe they are ahead of us, but the distance between it is not unachievable. It's not unattainable. And so start to associate with people that are farther along in the journey that you want to go than you are. And that'll help elevate it. A perfect example is I recently joined an inner circle group, successful businesses. You have to be over $1 million a year in revenue to be a part of that group. And it was crazy because all these people, just start talking to you and these are like big influencers, big people that you would be like in awe over, right? And I'm thinking, they don't even ask for my credibility. They assume because I'm there that I'm worthy to be there, that I put in my time and my effort and my hard work to get there. It immediately, if I didn't change anything else, it's worth the money that I paid to be a part of this group, strictly for my belief alone. And I know it's crazy when like other people validate it, but sometimes that's human nature, right? Sometimes we're our own worst critic. And we're like, wow, maybe I do have something to offer. Maybe I do have value that I can bring. And the crazy thing with this group is that they started to identify how I was so different from everybody else in the group in a different way, and how I had actually built a team, and a lot of the people in the group were still struggling to build teams. So I was like, wow, I have something to offer them. And it was kind of cool to be able to do a presentation with somebody recently about helping them build their team and helping them be able to avoid the potential pitfalls that they might run into when they start to do that. So I think the sooner we can all just kind of let our walls drop, where we realize that, hey, I don't have it all together. You don't have it all together. Our customers don't have it all together. We're all imperfect people trying to navigate this. And we realize that a lot of us are saying the same things. We're going through the same journey. So we just need to start to learn from each other. That's why I'm launching a podcast too around the concept that all entrepreneurs are liars. And the goal of that is to not like chastise everybody, but it's just to be able to expose the real stories that, hey, we're all going through these same things, and that is okay. Like, we can learn from these struggles and learn from these, oh, I'm not the only one that told myself that lie. Oh, I need to be careful of these lies that we might tell ourselves in business so I can avoid that. Those are, I think, super critical to the success of our companies. So one way you can increase the belief in yourself is by knowing what you should be doing when. And I actually created an assessment that'll actually diagnose it's a free assessment. It'll help you diagnose what phase of business you're in and what's required in that phase. And I think when you don't get so distracted and you know what you need to focus on today and what you need to be aware of tomorrow, it'll help that belief in you, because you'll be able to connect also with like-minded entrepreneurs that are in the same phase. And then also we can have people connect with you that are in higher phases that can show you the pathway forward. So if you want to be a part of something called the impact equation, we're pretty much having entrepreneurs align with the different phases of business and being able to help us all get past these phases and get into the next phase of growth. You can go to theimpactequation.com.